तो मैंने एक छोटी सी एक किताब से अभी शुरुआत की है अदल के बारे में मालूमात करने के लिए। तो जो किताब मैंने सेलेक्ट की है वो है जस्टिस ऑफ गॉड, जो यहाँ पे अली बुक क्लब पे अवेलेबल है, और यहीं पे मैं ब्लॉग्स लिख लिख रहा हूँ। ये प्रेजेंटेशन स्टाइल थोड़ा यहाँ पे मेरा डिफरेंट होगा, अनलाइक तौहीदुल मुफज्जल जो जहाँ पे मैं स्लाइड्स प्रेजेंट करता था। यहाँ पे मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि इस किताब का मैं ब्लॉग लिखूं, तो जब भी मैं प्रेजेंट करूंगा इंशाल्लाह इस ब्लॉग के जरिए प्रेजेंट करूंगा। तो सो ये जो किताब लिखी है आगा शिराजी, तो नासिर मकारिम शिराजी is the book of this author, and he is he was born on 25th of Feb 1927, and he is currently 96-year-old and lives in Shiraz, Iran. When he was 24 years old, two senior scholars of Najaf granted him complete ijtihad. So he became a mujtahid at the age of 24. And Ayatollah Mohsinul Hakim also wrote a letter of commendation for him. So I will begin where Agha Shirazi has quoted some ayats of Quran about Adl Ilahi. So it is important to note that Holy Quran has greatly emphasizes God's justice. So in Surah Yunus, verse 44, uh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, like, verily God will not deal unjustly with man in aught. It is man that wrongs his own soul. In another ayat in Surah Nisa, verse 40, uh, he quotes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, God is never unjust in the least degree. And the last ayat I will he has quoted is from Surah Anbiya, verse 47, where he said, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, we shall set up a scale of justice for day of judgment, so that not a soul will be dealt with unjustly in the least. So then the author has uh, uh, described what, then author has defined what is justice. So justice is to put everything in its place. Justice is being in balance and equilibrium. Justice is following individuals' right. So in against something that's against justice or the opposite of justice, then is oppression, which is sense of taking the rights of some and giving them exclusively to others. Then author has discussed about difference between justice and equality. So equality is not the condition of justice. Here author has given two examples. The class grades, which is every student gets different grades, and the wages, different employees get different wages. This is all according to their work and activity. Justice is that every creature receive its rights in proportion to its abilities and needs. Then the next thing author discuss is about the sources of oppression. So the first source that he mentioned is the ignorance. So he tells, like, it sometimes happens that an oppressive person does not in truth know what he is doing. He does not know that he is destroying someone's right. He is not aware of what he is doing. So the first source of oppression is ignorance, like that. The second one he mentioned is the need. So the sometimes people is tempted to commit a shaitanic act in order to attain something that another person has. Whereas if he were self-sufficient, he would not have need to commit such oppression. The third one that the author mentioned, is the inability. Sometimes person is not willing to have the rights of another person curtailed, but he does not have the power or the ability to do anything about it. So unwillingly he commits oppression. The last one he mentioned is about this is the selfishness. bearing grudges, or seeking revenge. Then the author says, like, none of these ugly qualities and deficiencies exist in God. God is never ignorant. He is all-knowing. God doesn't need anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need anything. He is needless. He is never unable. He is all powerful. He has power over everything. And he is never selfish. He is the most kind. So it makes no sense for God to commit oppression. So the next thing, if he punish those who commits evil, in reality, it is the result of their own deeds which causes this. Just like a person who uses alcohol might be afflicted with incurable disease. So then he quotes another ayat from Holy Quran, where in Surah Yunus, it is said, like, you receive but the recompense of what you have earned. Then the author discuss about the philosophy of natural calamities. When unexpected catastrophes such as hurricanes, earthquakes, or the other natural calamities occurred, people used it to prove that God's justice did not exist. Sometimes they not only negated justice, but used these calamities as a mean of proving the non-existence of God. Here, author discuss about the relative judgment and limited knowledge that we have. So in issues relating to calamities, and so normally, like, all of us in our judgment stress the relation things have with us. For example, like, one such person is strong or weak, that is in comparison to our physical ability or spiritual situation. In issues relating to calamities and natural catastrophes, people's judgment is usually the same. For instance, like, if rain falls in a region, we have nothing to do with what the total effect of the rain was. We only think about our environment, our home, at the most our own city. If it was positive event, we say that it was God's blessing. And if it has any negative impact, we call it as a negative event. Although, like, the same rain might have positive effects in other parts of the city. So we must look at our limitation in judgment. We must not only look at the things in relation to ourselves, but rather consider all sides of the issue and judge from all point of view. So in principle, like, events in the world are linked. So this is another thing, like, all the events in the world are linked. So the linked like a chain. So these long links, which is completely related to other links and is related also to the events which took place in the past and some events that will take place in the future. So the conclusion or the result is that putting one's finger on only a small part of an issue and judging it accordingly is not intellect or logically proper. One last example here, which author gives here in this context, is surgical operation. So a surgical operation is discomforting from one point of view. It might be painful, but from another point of view, it is beneficial. Thus, the goodness is relative. So it is here that we understand what relative judgment and limited information we have when we look at issues like this. So here the author quotes one more ayat of Holy Quran from Surah Al-Isra, verse 85. Of knowledge, it is only a little that is communicated to you. So हमारी मुख्तसर नॉलेज की बेसिस पे हम कोई जजमेंट प्रॉपरली नहीं ले सकते हम, स्पेशली खुदा के अदल के बारे में हम तसव्वुर भी नहीं कर सकते हैं. So the next thing author discuss is about undesirable events and warnings. Some of the undesirable events of the life are in order to end the state of pride and to do away with the sleep and heedlessness. जो हमें मुश्किलात पेश आती है लाइफ में, जो ट्रबल से हम गुजरते हैं, तो उसका एक रीजन ये भी है कि टू एंड द स्टेट ऑफ प्राइड एंड टू डू अवे विद द स्लीप एंड heedlessness. You have most certainly heard that here author gives an example of like a straight road, a flat road that is lacking any twist or turns or ups and downs. uh, by looking such road, it's quite attractive qualities, right? But it's quite dangerous. So because like the monotony of this road can cause the driver to fall asleep, and it is here that the danger comes. So some governments even like make artificial ups and downs on such roads, so that or variations, so that driver doesn't fall asleep. So the path of or the way of life of a human being is also the same. If life does not have any ups and downs, or if undesirable event never occurs, a state of forgetfulness of God and sleep will come and prevent a person from undertaking his or her duties and responsibilities. So I will end my summary here. Inshallah, I will continue on this book for maybe a couple more sessions next couple months.